In 1985, to coincide with the launch of the NES, Nintendo bundled the console with various accessories, including Rob the Robot and the Zapper, which is what we'll be covering for today. These accessories saw few uses with the exception of some few titles and had varying success, but the ultimate goal for these accessories was to help the NES launch in America as a toy rather than a video game, since you know that whole crash had just occurred and recovery was extremely slow. For today, we'll be looking at all the launch games that took full use of the Zapper, and no, Gumshoe was not a launch NES title. And either way, I don't own that game anyways, so... And we'll be seeing how great they hold up to today, or at least if they are still functional. Because to get the spoilers out of the way, these are your basic weekend activity games that feed off your hours for high score points. So we'll honestly be talking more about the functionality of these games with the NES Zapper, or more so the peripheral shooter now since I'm playing these all on the Wii U, and the games have been remodified to allow for LED sensor readings rather than light-based point accuracy, which also means that you can't cheat in these games by pointing at a very white or light-sensitive spot. Oh well. Our first game, and perhaps the most popular of the Zapper games, is Duck Hunt. For some duck hunting. Get over here, Dag! It's duck hunting time. Now this popularity wasn't because of its revolutionary design or anything, but because of Nintendo's decision to bundle it with literally everything. NES, World Clash Track Meet, Zapper, Super Mario Bros, Rob, Super Mario Bros, and World Clash Track Meet. Like, damn, this thing got potential from the get-go unlike the rest of these suckers. And the sale numbers show too. Nowadays, people know Duck Hunt for two things. One being the only game with a Zapper, and their inclusion in niche indie game franchise Super Smash Bros, starting from 4 onwards. In this game, however, you don't play as the duck or the dog, but rather the hunt, in Duck Hunt. You have 3 games, A, which lets you shoot 1 duck, B, which lets you shoot 2 ducks, and C, which lets you shoot clay frisbees. Single duck is pretty lame, so one thing I like to do is to make the single duck mode more challenging is emptying my load until I only have 1 bullet left, and tries to shoot the duck without missing. Makes the game more of a challenge, especially since the game is pretty easy up until round 10. Same thing can be done with 2 ducks if so desired, and personally I always go with 2 ducks since that allows me to run through the game much quicker. And also the dog looks like he's doing a double thumbs up with the duck heads. The dog in this game doesn't really do much besides scavenge the area so the ducks can fly out and pick up any shot ducks. Despite being the hunter's dog, he'll still laugh at you if you fail to shoot a duck down with that goddamn smug ass grin on his face, motherfucker. Overall, this game is the only one that leans more on precision and accuracy rather than reaction, which fits in line more with the next game, Wild Gunman. Wild Gunman sees you in 2 roles, a skilled duelist in Game A and B, and in Game C, an officer of the law, unless this skilled duelist is also an officer of the law because you never see yourself. So who knows, maybe all of this was just wrong and you're actually a New York senator looking for justice after being wronged in your election campaign. The game makes you try outlaws in a duel. When they yell, if you manage to pull the trigger before they do, as signified by their time, then you win. Too late and you get a cap in your ass. Too early and a foul is called and the gunman walks away. I love this guy's walking animation. He looks like a dope. In Game B you can go against 2 duelists, and in Game C you can go 1 to 5 in a salon shootout. There's always the same 5 outlaws regardless of what game mode you play in. And I'm assuming this one's the head honcho because he's the one with the fastest times overall and is also the one that blasts a cap in my ass every time I'm caught off guard in the saloon shootout game. As far as I could tell, the game never used the light sensitivity as a means of a target. Rather, the game used the light sensitivity to determine you have the gun pointed at the screen when pulling the trigger. As you can see from this shot, my gun was not on the outlaw but still counted the hit. There does seem to be a light target for the double outlaw game, however, since that one requires you to hit both separately. This does mean you can simply keep the gun pointed at the screen and then pull the trigger at a moment's notice. But where's the fun in that now? To spruce things up, it's best to always treat the game like you're in an actual duel. I'm talking pointer to your side and pulling up the moment the outlaw yells, For Game B, I'd recommend going for the Outlaw with more time and then following up on the Outlaw with less time if you want a real challenge. I can't say much for the Salon shootout. I would say just waste some rounds to make it more challenging, but that could end up biting you in the ass if the game manages to carry on longer than expected. This one's definitely my favorite of the bunch. Even better when you treat yourself as an actual duelist for the game to feel more exciting and fun. The Salon is also just a cool game concept in general, especially for a light gun game. Finally, the next game has a sort of mix between accuracy, precision, and reaction. It's also the one I don't think is bad, but probably the one I won't go back to that often. That being Hogans Alley. In this game, you work as an officer or agent in training, learning how to shoot properly and in quick succession. The game is based off the real Hogans Alley, which was a shooting range used by the FBI to train agents and guardsmen. The game, much like the others, has 3 game modes. Game A, which sees you practice shooting designated criminal targets while also trying to not shoot unarmed civilians or allied targets. Game B sees you shooting criminal targets while avoiding unarmed civilians or allied targets, but this time in an alleyway. Huh? Could this be the Hogan Alley? And Game C sees you shooting cans into different holes in order to rack up points and also to prove if you're a sharp shooter. Game C is also the one I like because I like juggling cans. It makes my brain happy. There's nothing wrong with Game A or B. In fact, I say these are the best use of reflective skills with a gun. If you don't want to be known for having a happy trigger finger, try practicing this mode. It might help alleviate yourself in cases you're ever in a dire situation. Also, it's just the best mix of quick reaction time necessary, that being quick on the trigger before the targets flip away, precision, needing to line up your line of fire with the targets, and accuracy, needing to make sure you are shooting at the criminal targets and not at just a bunch of random targets. Maybe the FBI should have recruited people who've gotten really high scores on this into their system, and maybe because of that would be in a society where the police will actually help me instead of wasting my goddamn time asking about what some high schooler from last year said in the middle of bumfuck class. Ain't that right, my fellow Americans?
Yeah, now that I finally got to play these games, I can finally learn to flex my Second Amendment rights on flying ducks, shooting range targets, tin cans, and 1870 outlaws. Huh. Okay, so I know it wasn't that much of a big video, but I just wanted to review these games because they're short, they're easy, and also they had the light gun accessory, or the pointer accessory with the console I'm using. Just want to get them over with, be fast, be done. Little short video just as a checkpoint for what we're going to have to deal with next. I get that these games are pretty simple in gameplay and design, and I know some of you might be thinking, you know, these games you covered are pretty mundane and simple. When are you going to get back into playing some real games? Ones that are challenging and stuff. Well, like I said, I honestly needed to just play this lineup before I got into the next game, because the next game, it's something I really don't want to play, but it's that notorious NES game that, you know, every reviewer has to kind of play. And also, I feel like it would kind of boost my credit a bit if I were to play that game, because a lot of these games, you know, they were pretty either simple sport activity kind of games, or they're only difficult in a few areas. But the next one, we're going to be dealing with ghouls and gobbling. Ooh, yeah, some ghoulish activities and some gobbling content, and it's gonna be dead stuff like this video, you know, because we were shooting stuff, and shooting stuff can kill people. I'm just trying to waste time from playing this game. I don't want to play it. Please don't let me play this game. I really don't want to play.
Me and the boys are about to do a little duck hunting. Whack, 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 whack.